So hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Amesie's Corner. How are you all doing out there? Well, what I have to show you today is this gorgeous 1987 Ford Mustang LX Notchback 5-liter 5-speed car, and got some nice modifications to make it handle better and go a little better, and really a well done car and really pretty for what it is. Now, a lot of times you see these notchbacks and you think it's going to be the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder with an automatic transmission. Now, most of these cars, the 5-liter, people would got the hatchback version or the convertible version of this car. So every time I see one of these, I'm always like, oh, it's just a crappy little, cheap car that happens to be a Mustang. But this one actually has a few cool things going for it. I mean, one, it's in amazing shape. These cars, like a lot of other cars up here in New England, rotted out real bad. So yeah, this one seems to be a pretty good survivor up here. I've done a few upgrades for this customer. I've done some sway bars and some bracing and all that. Let's get this hood open here. Yeah, bear with me. You guys want to hold that up while I do the prop rod. Yeah, and there it is, the Ford 302 cubic inch 5-liter V8. Now, just the old school push rod motor. This is the way everyone went fast back in the day. It was either this or in your Chevys was a 350, but this was a pretty torquey motor. Not a lot of horsepower, at least not stock. We'll have to see what the seat of the pants tells me about this one. But all in all, some good upgrades and a really good condition car. I really like the stance of it too. I like how I like these AM wheels. I think this thing is staggered tire sizes. We got 235, 45, 17 on the fronts and 255, 50, 17s on the rear. So we get that good wide tire for a good contact patch in the back. Real nice exhaust, Magnaflow. Yeah, Magnaflow exhaust system on it. But we'll get this thing in a moment. Let's get this thing up on the lift and take a look under it. All right, got her up on the lift. Now, first thing with these LXs, the LX Mustang, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think all of them had these 4-lug wheels, which is kind of weird with a V8 engine that they would only be 4 lugs, but it is what it is. So yeah, let's start from the front and work our way back. First thing we'll do a quick notice is it's really clean under here. I mean, I know I said it was when we were doing the walk around, but yeah, really clean for a New England car. Now you see the big sway bar. I actually installed that sway bar about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he's got some nice springs. This would give it that nice stance. He's got looks like some reasonably alright aftermarket struts up there. Nothing special. Same on this side. Single piston brakes, so it's stock there, which is pretty much what would have been on the regular 4-cylinder. I don't think they did any kind of upgraded brakes from the 4-cylinder to the 8-cylinder on the LX cars. It wasn't something they didn't do until later versions. We see a big cool aluminum radiator up there. I would say by the depth of it, that's going to be a 4-core unit. Still keeps its mechanical belt-driven fan. Kind of would have expected with a big radiator, expensive radiator like that, it would have had like an electric setup to free up any little bit of horsepower you can for this motor. Now looking back, we got the usual minor rear main seal oil leaks and whatnot. Kind of, nothing really to worry about. Now I see some long tube headers up there. And this is kind of a hard car to fit headers. These have always been the 302 has always been kind of a hard car to get headers. And I can see up there, it looks like, you see it in the camera, it looks like that tube, that's kind of hard to get in there, it looks like that tube right there is right up against the motor mount or the frame. And then this side here looks like in certain situations, where is it in the camera, that tube right there is hitting that steering shaft. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that happens when you start modifying and adding aftermarket stuff. Now it looks like it comes down to the regular stock Y pipe. Yeah, they call this the Y pipe or the H pipe, and it's got 4 catalytic converters still in place. We are up here in New Hampshire. You got to have all that stuff in there. If it came from the factory, it has to be in there still. Now I also noticed it still has its thermactor pump. This is an air pump that pumps air through a tube into the converters, but I look up here and where would it go? I don't see where the tubes would have connected into the cats here, into the pipe. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if it's even, yeah, it's not even hooked up. Look up there, see it's not even hooked up. Is that the outlet or the inlet? No, I don't remember. Thank God we don't use these things anymore, and catalytic converter technology is such that that they light themselves off. But yeah, it looks like that's just the appendix. We call that an appendix now. It's on there. It had something back in its history, but it is no longer needed. So moving back, oh, here we go. Here's where it would have gone into right there. My apologies, I didn't realize it sooner. There should be an air pipe coming down, connecting into this to light these 2 downstream converters off. So they're pretty much along for the ride unless you're really getting on it. And then we come back from the H pipe into this MagnaFlow exhaust. Yeah, MagnaFlow branded on the tips. You guys can see it. MagnaFlow branded on the stainless mufflers themselves. And then we get back here, we see that the sway bar to match the front. These just bolt onto these lower control arms, which have been upgraded. I would imagine those are probably polyurethane bushings inside of there. Kind of hard to point, hold camera, and light at the same time. Yep, the same spring treatment. I wonder what, there's a brand on those. The purple is Eibach, isn't that usually? Eibach does their springs in purple a lot for a car like this. Maybe, maybe not. We can see some upper links. What is this, a 5-link suspension on these? 4-link? 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought there might have been a Panhard bar, but I must be mistaken. Another interesting thing about the Mustang is these things had problems with axle wrap. When you'd get on it, the axle would twist, the tires would hop, and something Ford did to mitigate that is these up here, axle wrap shocks. There's actual shocks for hitting bumps and controlling body roll and you know, general suspension duties. But then there's another shock mounted laterally to kind of slow down axle wrap, so you get a better takeoff without the wheels jumping all over the place. It's not good for your drive line. You get that on both sides. Regular drum brakes, that would be LX totally all the way, which is another thing which is weird that the LX Mustangs will even come with the V8. But like I said, it really doesn't get any more rust-free up here in New England. Usually, well, maybe I spoke too soon. Every car up here is hiding a little bit, and there it is. Every car up here is hiding the cancer. You know, let's try the other side. Other side, just starting to on these floors. Looks like someone might have done a patch on this side. So, rust-free is never, ever actually rust-free. Alright, I think we've pretty much looked at all of this thing. I wonder if this thing, one thing I want to check is it got an open diff. Which we're actually, that's a thing. Look at how that steering axle wrap shock is actually rubbing on these tires. That's it doesn't look like it's doing it a lot. Must just be something about the angle. I bet you this thing goes up on the lift, comes off the lift, the suspension goes up into where it's supposed to. I bet you that doesn't rub anymore, or we would have telltale signs that Ventus lettering and all that would be rubbed right off. So that must just be something because we're up in the air. But looks to me like either a locked. Hold on. Yeah, that must have a spool in it or something, because there is no differential activity at all. They are just spin with that annoying sound. The fuel lines come awful close to the exhaust. Is what it is, I guess. Well, alright guys, pretty cool car all in all. Really clean, but like I said, you might think it's rust free. You just got to look a little harder up here, because everything up here has rust on it. So let's get to the best part of this review. Let's get this thing out on the road and try not to run over a crowd of people.
Their shapes have been restyled, their controls redesigned, But there's one thing about Mustang that will never change. The sheer thrill of driving one. The new Mustang convertible, LX and GT. What they have in common is anything but. This is Mustang.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
All right. Oh, I'm really looking forward to this road test. It's been a while since I drove an old school LX Mustang. I'll tell you one thing, this was the car when I was in high school. This was the car every kid wanted. It's got a nice sound to it. You got MagnaFlow exhaust. All right, so these weren't powerhouses back in the day. That 302 liter or 302 cubic inch 5 liter Mustang motor, small block Ford, was only good for about 280 horsepower and stockish trim. Let's see what this thing pulls. I would say we're probably pretty close to 300 with those headers. It looked like there were a couple of other intake mods to it. We saw that cold air intake, and I'll put you back in the seat enough to tighten the seatbelt on your neck a little bit. So I can hear those tires rubbing a little bit. I definitely hear this left front making a little bit of noise. But that's part of having a low vehicle like this. That kind of thing happens. Transmission's a little clunky. Could definitely use a short throw shifter. Get on a little bit. It'll definitely kick the rear end out if you ask it to. Looks like fourth gear synchro makes a little bit of noise there, a little bit of grinding from fourth. So yeah, I'm not going to hammer on this thing. It's definitely showing a little bit of its age. You know, I don't want to be the one to blow his tranny out on him, on this car. It's not for me to do. Good pull to it. Got another uphill climb. Let's see if we get on it a little bit. Real easy going into fourth. Not a bad driving car, just in a straight line, huh? Not a lot of noise. Kind of lay off the throttle a little, it quiets down. Not twitchy at all. Definitely feels loose in the back. You know, it's just the way these cars are. Being a unibody construction, the Fox body unibody. Probably could use a little more brace in it towards the rear. Let's try out some of those handling mods on the hairpin here. That tire rub. Not bad. No body roll. That fourth gear synchro. That fourth gear, that ain't gonna last long. I'm gonna take it easy on fourth on this one. Oh, the seatbelt's killing me. So yeah, the LX Notchback Mustang. Now I had heard rumors that this car is substantially lighter than the hatchback version, and it's definitely probably lighter than the convertible. Even though a convertible top's mostly fabric, the mechanism to make a convertible adds some weight. Definitely feels like a well-balanced car for a late 80s Mustang. Most of these cars, either they rusted out by now, or the kids got a hold of them, younger kids or people, you know, first vehicles, and just beat the crap out of them, and a lot of them ended up off the road right through the cabbage. I'm sure you guys all know the memes, the Mustang memes, when they're leaving a car meet. You got that one guy who's got to spin his tires and sends it right through a crowd. Maybe that's why this car's got all engine and handling upgrades before the motor upgrades. So let's do a quick brake check. Doing about 30. There's that fourth gear Nitro, meh. Brakes are definitely underpowered, definitely under braking. That single piston caliper in the front, and the drum brakes in the rear. You know, this thing ain't, you're not going to be able to throw the anchor out on this car real quick. I bet you those brakes will heat up awful fast if you try to bring this too much on the track. You know, everyone thinks you need a fast car on a track, but it's the car that can stop fast, can go fast. You can't go faster than you can stop before a corner. So even though the Notchback may be lighter, you add that heavy V8 engine up the front versus the 2.3 with the same brakes. And I might be wrong about the brakes, but I don't think I am. Busy road here once we get out. A little squirrely in the rear, even though I was keeping traction. I didn't want to break those tires free. It's not my place to wear any of the tires. I gotta keep all the rubber on the round and not on the road on this car. But all in all, pretty decent Mustang. It's not so over the top that it's hard to drive, and it's not so so stock that you're just driving another front engine rear drive boring Mustang. Definitely a looker. That's definitely a decent paint job. It's a little darker, or actually it's a little lighter than it would have been. This color would have been a darker Ford blue. I'm not sure the name of the color, but at first I didn't care for the blue, but kind of growing on me a little bit. Yeah, I definitely see people in the passenger seats taking a look at it. Has a nice stance to it, but yeah, definitely paying the price with that stance with a little bit of tire rub up on the left front. You have to see what that is. Okay, we got the hairpin coming up. Actually, no, this isn't the hairpin. This is my chicane. I call this my chicane corner. Seems like the last few reviews, every time I've gone to take this corner, there's always been something in the way or someone taking it real slow ahead of me. Looks like today's going to be no exception. Still get on it a little bit. Oh yeah, all in all, a lot like I remember them being. It's a lot like I remember the Fox Body 5.0 Mustangs being. Other than it corners better. Definitely hooks up a little better. Smoky. Crap. Oh, fun car. A fun car indeed, guys. Well, thanks for coming along on this review, road test up on the lift and walk around like usual. We'll see what we get in the next video. I got nothing on the horizon at the moment, so yeah, we got a lot of cool cars up and fixed, and cool cars at the shop right now. We still have that MR2 sitting in here. We still have that Sylvia under lock and key. Well, anyways, guys, on that note, and until next time, keep it out of the cabbage.